Well, that's an unfortunate sight. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So, as you can see, Genesis is in the driveway and the Baz Rays are no longer on it. They're sitting behind us in the Durango. So, unfortunately, like I mentioned in that Brokies video, my alignment on my front end is absolutely smoked from the trailer at Gallenberg. And we've completely blown through the front tires. They corded both of them. I didn't record any of it because, like I said, I was at the house, not the garage. I can't drive the car to the garage because the front tires are so bad, but I need to go to the garage, get some spare tires I've had laying around for a while, and when we get there, I'll show you the front tires, show you the rear tires to compare how bad the front end alignment is. And this is basically all due to me just not going and wanting to deal with Firestone and get an alignment right now. But yeah, we're gonna drive to the garage and we'll catch up when we get there. All right, and just like that, we're back at the garage. This place is an absolute disaster. This stuff keeps piling up over there. None of that's mine. That stuff's not mine. This stuff right here isn't mine. And then my area, which is like right here, is a complete disaster. All this wood and the ramps and stuff, this is all from when we trailed the car to Tennessee at the beginning of October. And then I came here and just kind of tossed everything on my workbench. I got new toolboxes, which meant that this socket tray doesn't fit inside this toolbox anymore because it's like a ½ inch too big, and I'll go over that in another video. But regardless, the reason we're here, these two tires, these are front tires. These are from, I think, back in like April when we went to Nashville, and I put new tires on because the rears were corded because I had a bad alignment back then. So the rears couldn't be flipped, so I bought a whole set of tires, front and rears. And then I took these, which only have one bad side, and then the other side is still brand new, so I kept these as spares, which actually worked out because the rear tires that are on the Baz Rays right now still have plenty of life on the inside. I could still drive with those, but then the outside is still brand new. And because we're gonna put a brand new set, or a brand new half, because when you have camber, you have half a tire, for those who don't know. So I'm going to flip the rears, and then the Baz Rays with the front tires that are bad, these are going on the fronts, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. If not, I'll try and make it more sense in a few minutes. But like I said, I gotta clear off, pull these off the shelf, hopefully try and clear this up a little bit so I can set the wheels on and I can show you the difference of the front and rears for the tires that are on the Baz Rays right now. So, long story short, pull these off, clean off that workbench, and we'll go from there. All right, so I think I've set this up as least sketchy as possible, so we're gonna try and make this really quick. So, this is one of the rear wheels and tires. This is the front wheel and tire. These are those two spares that we pulled off of that shelf right there. So, like I said, these are from April. I had a good front end alignment, a bad rear alignment. So, as you can see, this was what was the inside at the time. And they actually look pretty good. There was some weird wear right there. That's what this like shadow is. But that was due to the toe being too far outer, and I don't know, it's been a long time. I don't remember what exactly the situation was for these, but the front end alignment was good enough. The rears on this set, which are now in the scrap bin at the tire shop from April, like I said. But anyway, to get back on track. So these are still good on this half. So when you have camber, people who are watching this who don't have camber, you're basically just using half a tire. So if you get a symmetrical tread pattern like these are, you can flip the tire on the wheel, blah, blah, blah. You get two tire lives out of one tire, basically. So this is used, this is new, this is used, this is new. So these fronts, these are fronts. I never even checked that. Hold on. 275/35, yeah. So these are fronts. But anyway, so now I lost my train of thought. Now, yeah, so brand new, used. We're gonna go there to the tire shop. They're going to take the tires. So this tire off of this one and the other tire that's in the car still. Then they're gonna mount this as insides. So that way the new tire, the new half of the tire is now the inside, and the used part of this tire is now on the outside, which doesn't touch the ground, so it doesn't matter. So for those who don't know how to flip tires, that's the concept. Now, to get back on track here. So this is the cording. 1,800 miles. This shouldn't happen, but whatever. This is the rear tire, same 1,800 miles. Looks like it's got plenty of life left, because it does. This is the outside, inside. We could drive that for probably another, I don't know, at least a couple hundred miles, if not more. The fact that this wore out so quick is solely due to the alignment, and we got a fresh alignment before we drove to New Jersey for Slammed Enough. And then I came home, only drove the car a couple of times between New Jersey and Gatlinburg. So this happened on the trailer on our way to Gatlinburg. Now, with that being said, I've said this like 100 times, and nobody seems to grasp the concept of why a trailer would ruin the front end alignment. So I'm gonna try and make this very, very clear right here, because I'm kind of tired of answering this question, if I'm honest. So, using this piece of wood here, this, basically a U-Haul trailer has a front to it, and your front tires get butted up against it, and then a ratchet strap goes around the tire, and then it locks into a ratchet strap or a ratchet mechanism in the front, and it pulls the front of the car into the bottom of the, or the front end of the trailer, and that's how it holds the car on the trailer in the front. And then you secure the rear however method you want to do it. So if that's sitting here, actually I'm going to use a tire so I don't use the wheel and knock it down. So basically you drive the car, you get to this, then you ratchet strap around the tire and you pull it tight to this. Now if your car is on the trailer at a slight angle, you're going to be pulling the whole car towards the front of the trailer, but your car's going to be crooked and you're pulling the wheels like this. So like, we didn't have the car on the trailer absolutely perfectly, and because of the way this trailer is designed to secure it down, it throws off, it pulls on your suspension to hold the car on. Not to mention the 1,100 miles of driving we did to get down there while the car was being held on to a trailer like this. That's why a U-Haul trailer with the style of securing the front end down to the trailer, that is why it ruins your front end alignment. And when you're in somewhere, let me retract my front end thoughts here. So it ruins the front end alignment, and because front toe is so crucial when you're running camber, that is why if it throws it off ever so slightly, it'll lead to this. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense and you still don't understand what I'm talking about when I say the U-Haul trailers mess up your front end alignment, that's what it is. So the alternative, the better way, if I had my own trailer and I was trailering this car a lot, which I don't do, but if I was trailering a lot and I had my own trailer, normally people either get one of the loop ratchet straps that go around the whole wheel and tire, so it goes here, goes around like that, and it's got one anchor goes that way, and then one anchor comes this way, and that holds it on. Now that holding just the wheel, that puts a little bit of pressure on it, just like this whole U-Haul mechanism does, but it's not going to be as bad, because if the car's crooked on the trailer, you're just pulling it and securing it downward, not pulling it forward, just pull it down, if that makes sense. The other, which is a better way, which is like high-end transport companies do this, they get a single ratchet strap that will have a D-ring, and it'll go down, it'll go to a loop, and then go up and over the tire to another loop, and then it'll go back, and they ratchet strap it that way. So that's just pulling the middle of the tire down 2 straps, and then holding it on like that. That is like the high-end, correct, professional, like most professional type of way of securing a car to a trailer for transport. You never want to ratchet strap it down from like the suspension or the chassis of the car, because when you ratchet strap it down, you compress the suspension when the trailer is bouncing and stuff like that, and the suspension of the car can compress, which loosens up the strap, and then on rebound, if the strap ever loosened up, your car can just pop up, and that's how usual accidents happen. So yeah, long story short, that sums up the trailer. I'm not talking about that ever again. I'm tired of answering the Instagram and Facebook questions when I say that. So we're done with that. Now, did I cover this yet? So yeah, so rear tire, this inside life, We still have plenty of life on here, but we're going to flip it and put the brand new side on the inside because we have to put the brand new side of this for the fronts on because we cannot flip this. I mean, technically you might be able to get away with flipping it. I have done it before in the past in a pinch, but because I have this spare set, or pair, I mean, I'm just gonna junk these tires and then mount these ones on here. Then flip those, so that way we have two inside halves that are brand new on both front and rear tires, if that makes sense. So, with all due said, with all of that said, wow, I'm gonna try and do this in one take, but yeah, normally it takes like 15 takes to do these because I don't know how to talk. But anyway, with all that said and out of the way, as a tire situation, I'm gonna run to the shop, drop these off, hopefully pick them up today or tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. I hope they're still open on Saturday. I'm not sure. And then we can get the tires mounted back, or the wheels mounted back on the Genesis, so that way I can drive it here and we can finally get this thing parked for the winter, because it is like 40 degrees outside. It's freezing. Overnight it's been freezing. I got shorts on like an idiot right now. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. That clears stuff up. Hopefully I didn't make it more confusing. I'm gonna secure that while I'm talking, but hopefully that kind of clears up the confusion on why I say a U-Haul trailer messes with the front end alignment and it messes it up just enough to cause wear on the tire. Oh, so that also reminds me, wow, this lighting is terrible right here. But that also reminds me, why didn't I just, I knew this was a hat problem. I knew this was gonna happen when we got home from Tennessee. I knew this was a problem with the trailers. Why didn't I just go get it aligned? It's a simple fact of, I've been going to a certain Firestone for 7 years, over 7 years, almost 8 years now. And I've never had a problem. I've had a problem once with one manager who actually ended up getting fired because he was having a problem with like a whole bunch of customers, because at the time I had a, well, from going there so long, I made a friend that worked there, and then I came in there and he was telling me the guy got fired because he was fighting with customers like he did with me. But anyway, that's not the point. But, so now, like I said, I've been going to this Firestone location for 7 years, almost 8 years now. And the last time I went before New Jersey, they had this new manager, I don't even know if he's actual manager. We know somebody who works there currently, and they say he's not a manager, but whatever. He was the guy at the front desk, and he was giving me a hard time like crazy. And I was like, dude, like, I'm just not going to fight with you. He was threatening to call corporate, blah, 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 cancel my life alignment, this, that, and that thing. So I'm going to make this very clear in this video. My car, I have this thing so perfectly set up that my alignments, when I go to Firestone, is a 100% factory adjustment. They touch the factory front end tie rods and the rear eccentric bolts for the rear toe that are on the subframes. They don't have to touch a single one of my aftermarket control arms. They don't have to touch the camber. All they're doing is putting the toe in spec with what the OEM manufacturer says it should be. So when this kid was telling me that my car is illegal, it's unsafe, it's dangerous for the technicians to work on, first of all, the car's 7.5 years old, it has almost 70,000 miles. Clearly the car isn't unsafe and not fit to be on the road. The car's been driving for years like this, and it's been there like 100 times, not even joking, not a single problem. So, right then and there, the kid's bullshit. So, then, he's like, well, we can't adjust aftermarket arms. I'm like, good, because you're not going to. So, this is turning into me like kind of bitching, so I don't mean to do that. But, I just have a lot of stuff to do today, so I just kind of want to get through this. But anyway, so he's like, I'm like, no, dude, the car is set up, all you guys are doing is adjusting the factory toe in the front and the rear. Which, like I said, I have this car so dialed in that I have it, the aftermarket toe arms, control arms, everything on this car, I have it measured within like 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch to perfect zero. So by eye and with my camber plates and all that stuff, I set the car up in the garage in my space. So that way when I drive it there, it doesn't blow through a set of tires. And then when I get there, all they have to do is do a minor adjustment to get the car perfect. So with all that said, it takes us less time to align this car than it does with like most regular cars. It takes like literally 15 minutes to align the car because, like I said, all we're doing is your slightly adjusting the front tie rod ends, which takes 2 seconds. It's a 14mm jam nut and then a 14mm body on the tie rod ends. And then the rear is just the eccentric bolt. These cars come with eccentric bolts on the subframe, and all you have to do is adjust that ever so slightly, and that's how easy it is to align this car. So it literally takes 15 minutes, and it takes maybe 10 minutes to set up the sensors on the wheels to do the alignment, because the only reason it takes a little bit longer for that is because the wheels are so deep, the lips are so big, 8-inch lips in the front, 9-inch lips in the rear. Wow, man, I really gotta learn how to breathe when I talk to do these. But anyway, so 8-inch lips in the front, 9-inch lips in the rear. Because the wheels are so deep, we have to put the extension pieces on the sensor cups and then zip tie the sensors to the faces of the wheels, because the arms won't have enough inward distance to clip onto the tire and sit on the face properly, if that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, later on in the video, I might, or not in this video, like later on in the channel's history or future, I guess, I'll try and do a better video of how I align the car and what my specs are and all that good stuff. So if you want to see that, you've made it this far in the video to hear me say that, comment below, give the video a thumbs up, all that stuff, so that way I know that more people who are watching this far into a video would actually like to see that whole process. So yeah, like I said, where was I? Oh, so alignment, blah, 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 blah. So long story short, this kid was fighting with me for like 40, maybe not 45 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, threatening to call corporate, this and that and the other thing. I was like, dude, call corporate. I've already had this phone conversation with corporate in the past, because somebody else said that I couldn't get the car aligned because of that, but blah, 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 blah. I already had this conversation with corporate Firestone, and they said the car's fine as long as it's factory adjustment points and they're not touching anything. Aftermarket, they don't have a problem with it, especially with the fact that I've been a customer for so many years. They're like, well, clearly nothing's wrong with the car, or it's dangerous because the car has been here so many times without a problem. So I was like, go ahead, call corporate. He ended up folding eventually, and the car got aligned. The kid who was doing the alignment, he said it was fairly new. I sat there with him, walked it through the whole thing. Alignment came up flawlessly. We drove to New Jersey and back with absolutely no problems. Car drove absolutely perfectly, handled the Wildwood roads, came back, everything's good. That kid just wasted 25, 30 minutes of both of our lives for absolutely no reason. So, even though I was able to get the car aligned like that day, I just don't feel like going back there, because if that kid's still there, yeah, I was already right once, blah, 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 this, that, other thing. I just don't care to fight with people. I don't care. I don't want to be arguing with you. I just want to show up, get my car aligned, and leave. That's all I want to do. I don't want to argue with you and why you think that since you've been working here for 5 months, you know more than me, who's been building this car for 7 years, longer than you have had a license. Like, I just don't care. I just do not want to have that argument. So I would rather just go ahead and buy a whole new set of tires for another like month less of me driving this car. It's going into winter. It's going to be sitting in this garage starting whenever I get these wheels back, basically till next March at this point, because February is usually snowing and cold. They usually bring it out about around March. So that's the only reason I let these tires get corded. This is 100% my fault. This is 100% on me for not getting the car realigned. And the only reason I did that is because I just didn't want to have this argument with the kid. That basically sums up to it. If I had another Firestone location around me that had an in-ground lift, I would go there. But the next closest one is the one in Shrewsbury that my buddy Jeff used to work at, who just recently got a new job somewhere else. So I no longer can go to Shrewsbury, or I can go to Shrewsbury, but it's just an hour and 10 minutes away down the Mass Pike, so that just makes no sense. And if I can find another location closer to me that has an in-ground lift, I might go there, so that way the next couple of times we do drive the car in the month of November. Right now it's the middle of November. Actually, it's the week before Thanksgiving when I'm filming this. So basically we're at the end of the year. So am I going to drive an hour and a half out of my way to go get an alignment? No. Am I going to drive to this close location and fight with somebody who doesn't actually know what they're talking about to get my car aligned? No. Instead, I'm just going to throw on a spare set of tires that I have who will 100% last me the next 500 to 800 miles that I'm going to put on the car in the next few weeks, if I even drive that much. I do want to take the car out of the garage, film a full walk around video. I do want to point to a video where we point out all of like the flaws in the car, like from driving it for the past year, because like I feel like that's a cool video. Nobody shows like how beat up like a vinyl wrap can get in a year when you drive like 7,500 miles or so with the car this low, blah blah blah. So I'll do that, and then I think the shows are basically over for the year, so I'm not going to have any shows to go to. We're not going to go to Slammed Enough Myrtle Beach. I know I talked to a couple of people who said I might drive or trail the car down for that, but it's just not going to happen. I just don't feel like trailing in the car again this year. And then the big part is that I think that I might end up taking out just a tiny bit of front end camber on the car over winter, because I've noticed in some pictures lately, or not lately, but the pictures from this year at shows, I feel like the front camber just looks a little heavy, if that makes sense. But I don't know, I use the word heavy in my head because that's kind of what it means. But right now I have the car set to where the rear end actually has a little bit more camber than the front, air down. Because when I had it at perfect numbers matching, the front end looked like it had way more camber. It's just the way the flares are shaped and the way the body and all this stuff. So I took out a little bit of front camber way last year when I set the car up originally. And I just feel like it's right there. It's perfectly matching to the eye, but I feel like I could have just a little bit less in the front and it would just flow a little bit more, if that makes sense. I don't know if I want to do that, because since I'm on 18s with the remake flares, to sit fender to lip with those 18s is really finicky. I don't know any other person who has been able to figure that out besides me at the moment. It's even hard for a lot of people to sit fender to lip with the remake flares with 19s and 20s, let alone 18s. So I'm really kind of like right on this bubble of, if I take too much camber out of the front, it's going to pull the top of the wheel too far to the ground, which is going to make it further away from the fender flare, which means it won't sit perfectly fender to lip. So I don't know. That's what I'm talking about. That's kind of another reason why I'm just not going to go waste my time arguing with somebody to get an alignment, for me to potentially change it to have to get another alignment in the spring, if that all makes sense. But yeah, so that's kind of a little glimpse of future videos we're going to do, future plans and changes we might make for the car this winter. But yeah, that kind of sums up this like giant long rant of this video. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a rant and me complaining. But like I said, I'm gonna bring those tires to the tire shop, get them mounted, and hopefully next time I see you, the Genesis will be in the garage and we can wrap this video up. Alright guys, so it has been 5 days since that last clip. I dropped the wheels and tires off like early afternoon, late morning on Friday, and the shop was super busy. I told them I didn't need the wheels in any big of a rush because we're not doing anything with the car. So it's Tuesday of the following week. We just got the wheels back. We just got home. They're in the back of the Durango for right now. But it is currently early afternoon. It is below 35 degrees out, so it is actually freezing out right now. And it's super windy all of a sudden. I don't know if you can see outside the window behind me. But we're not going to be putting the wheels back on the car today. I'm just not going to sit outside and do that today. Tomorrow and the next day are supposed to be way warmer. But somehow I've managed to turn a video about just getting tires in a bad alignment into me talking for like 25 minutes straight. So I apologize for that. But with that being said, we're going to end the video here. In the next video, we're going to get the Genesis to the garage. We're going to go over the future plans and what to possibly expect for content on that car this winter. So, peace out, and we'll see you on the next one.